I know are you still fully employed at a studio, or do you have your own space? Are you co-renting a space? Like where are you mixing out of and doing all your work?
Yeah, so I am now freelance and I have a manager and stuff, which is awesome.
Oh yeah.
But just shout out Jess and Hugh. There's two Hughs. But I rent a space in the studio complex called Golden Retriever, which is the best studio in the whole world. I love everyone there. They're so awesome. It's like a little community and everyone is so giving with their like ideas and lending of things and just like nice, and we always go and get coffee and like walk around the street and stuff. But yeah, I have a studio there which I share with like a couple of other people, and my setup is like mainly in the box. It's on my laptop, but I have just a few pieces of gear which I like use for my mixes, and I run out of like the computer into a pair of Neve 1073s, and then I recently got a Smart C1 LA compressor to go after that, and then it kind of goes into an Apogee converter and then like back into the Orion interface which we have in the studio, and that's it.
So you're basically running out of the box a tiny bit just on the stereo output.
Yeah, but I feel like acquiring these 2-3 pieces of gear has like really upped my work, you know, like just having really good quality things that sound incredible just makes, you know, mixing into that chain is just such a dream. Like, yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah, it's worth getting rid of offline bouncing, I guess. You know.
Yeah. I have to print it in real time, which is a bit frustrating, but it's only like the length of the song. And then when
songs aren't that long usually.
Yeah, and then I can offline the like limited version after that, which is fun. But for ages I didn't have offline bouncing. Like I was on Pro Tools 10. Which I'm not on anymore.
But
that's
the only version of Pro Tools I ever owned was Pro Tools 10, and I used it maybe a handful of times, and I've just never needed it, but I know what you mean.
But these days, when I'm doing stems, I'm not necessarily like a lot of the stuff isn't going through that main chain. So then I'm just bouncing offline then, except for like a few key things, which, you know, like the vocal or the kick and the snare, like those main important things I'll kind of do in real time. But especially for live stuff, it's
interesting.
It can kind of get away with it a little bit more.
I know. Yeah, I know what you mean when people like bounce out the stems for like live shows and stuff. It doesn't really need to sound exactly like the record. Having something that's like in the zone is definitely good enough.
Yeah,
totally. Wait. So I guess let's talk a little bit about your approach to mixing, because we kind of already jumped into it. So you know. I mean, so you already answered the question. If you're slightly out of the box, how templated is your mixing approach, or how like, I don't know, free is it? Like what happens when you get a song to mix? What's the first thing you do?
So it's funny. I was actually talking about this with someone the other day, and they were like, "What's your template like?" And I was like, "Oh, it's actually so embarrassing. It's so bare. It's got like."
It's not embarrassing. It's an approach. You know what I mean? Like I feel like it's legit.
So basically, like when I click it opens, and then it's got like the print chain, which is the most important thing, because then I don't have to set it up. And basically, whenever I import everything, it goes through the bus that goes to the print chain and all that thing. And then on my master bus, I always have like the Pro L2 by FabFilter. That's the limiter that I use. And then I've got like the Waves, what is it? I can even look in this session that I have open here. Yeah, the frequency analyzer, that's what it's called. Oh my goodness.
Oh yeah, okay.
Yeah, and then I used to use these other meters which are on this section here, but now I use the PSP meters. So just like they're just me like VU, so I can just kind of see what's happening. And then I've always got the Shadow Hills mastering compressor plugin on a setting that I like, just doing like the tiniest amount of juicy fatness. And then I'll always have like a reverb or a delay set up for vocals, and actually like on bass I use the Fairchild 660 plugin, so it's just there waiting for me.
The UA?
Yeah, the UA. It's there just waiting for me to like do whatever I decide with it. There's a couple of other things, but I've started to use them less, and it's way more free because, I mean, every song's different, right? So you can't
absolutely.
use everything the same. I mean, like, yeah, I might have the same like harmonic things that I send into for distortion, like on, you know, parallels waiting to be like sent to. But a lot of the time it's just going with the flow and just seeing what happens. But I find like a lot of the time my hands and my brain are just like doing the things before I'm even like understanding what I'm doing. They're just like, okay, well, let's find this plugin and open this and blah, 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 and then it's
just like free range.
Yeah.
There's like a word that I had in my mind and I lost it, but like it's just you're just feeling it out. You know, the tracks come in and you just feel it out.
Flying by the seat of my pants.
Yeah, but I think what is cool is like, you know, having that consistent stereo bus, you know, that you're mixing into. I'm also all about having consistent stereo bus, and you just know what you're going to get. You know, when you mix into it at the right levels, you just make sure that you're hitting it at the right.
Well,
the right
that's
amount.
another. With the levels thing, I always make sure that, you know, my stems aren't clipping everything, and making sure that the kick hits the same spot that I like it to on the VU meters. It took me like, you know, it took me a while to get the gain structuring right, because I would just like go and then I'd be like, why does it sound like, why is there no headroom? Like, oh yeah, remember that thing that's really important? You got to do that. So once, keeping on top of that, and then kind of everything just kind of morphs into place around that.
Yeah, people talk about how, like, you know, if you get like the things that eat up the most headroom working right, everything else should just kind of fall into place.
Yeah,
and also get maximum loudness that way as well. Like people talk about like I had a guy on the show named Andrew Mari, who's like he's also mixed for like Japanese Wallpaper and
cool,
and like some big records. He mixed like the Lizzo one that won a Grammy.
Awesome.
Anyways, he's like this is like, you know, his idea is like when things hit like that optimal loudness, that's how you get everything sounding like punchy and super loud. And it's an approach that I don't think I can do yet or at this stage in my journey, but it's super interesting to think about. You know, like it's like, how do you get all that density? Are you thinking about like about loudness when you're mixing like into your stereo bus compressor, or is it you're not even thinking about like the mastering end of things?
Well, I guess I try to leave like 3 dB of headroom if I can, but then the like limiter that I have on it is like, it's doing a lot most of the time. But I take that off when I send it to the
mastering.
Yeah, but I think it's also important to turn it on and off as you're going to, just to see if anything is like crazy too loud. And you're like, oh, okay, got to turn that down. And then you're like, why? They've turned it down 10 dB. Like, what the hell is wrong with me? So, yeah, just always checking.
Yeah, limiters are interesting. I feel like you do need to understand what it's going to sound like when it's hitting a limiter later on.
Yeah.
And everyone's referencing mastered, you know, records. Nobody's referencing mixes anymore. It's all on Spotify, so it's been mastered already.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I've been finding recently that I've been mixing into a limiter and then just taking it off when I send it off. But maybe it's I've been talking with people about this also. It's like maybe I should send like the limited version so people can hear how.
Oh yeah, I always send
how
them.
It's been. Yeah.
Yeah, I always send those along with the mixes, just in case, like, you know, they should know what it was sounding like, so that they, you know, they're obviously trying to make it better. So like, please beat my mix, smash it, like. Smash it out of the park. So I always include those. And I'm also realizing how I need to maybe start bouncing instrumentals at the time of bouncing everything else, instead of like 6 months later when I've changed my setup and I'm like, this plugin went open, I'm sorry. But, yeah.
There's a thing called Bounce Butler, which I don't know if it'll work for you. I think they do real-time bounces also. Yeah. But it basically does you basically set up your dots as a bunch of different save ases, and then you can choose all of them to bounce like later on when you're out getting lunch or whatever. You know?
That's cool.
So if you're doing a lot of that kind of stuff, it might be worthwhile to get something like that. I'm not doing a ton of like stem bouncing personally at the moment, but if things change, then I might then go for it. You know what I mean? I feel like it depends like what you're doing these days. Yeah. Tell me a bit more about your approach to affecting, vocals like reverbs and stuff, because I noticed that they sound amazing on the mixes that I heard. Do you have any favorite plugins or any favorite approaches to getting the right ambience?
I think it's just like I have a few like tried and tested and trusted plugins. So it's kind of just like cycling through until you find the one that fits. And so basically like I'm obsessed with all the Valhalla stuff. So Valhalla Vintage Verb, like the default setting is, it does the job.
Everyone talks about the default setting.
I know, right? Yeah.
The 4-second haul. I love it.
Yeah. But I pull it down to like 2 seconds because sometimes 4 seconds is too long.
That's a lot for a haul. It depends on the genre. It depends on the genre. If it's a ballad, it's good. You know?
And then there's a setting in there called Clear Chamber, which is cool. Felix discovered that one, and I've just been running that ever since. And then the shimmer, like I love the shimmer. I'm usually like pushing that to the limit of what it can do. And the plate one is good too. I love the delay. I love H delay. I love the AKG BX20 plugin in the UAD. I love that plugin. And the RMX16 is really good. I actually read like a UAD. I never read the like newsletters that they send me, but there was one that they did recently with, I can actually open it because I've got the tab open on my webpage. It's the Billie Eilish like mixing one. Who's the guy that did it? Rob Kinelski?
Yes.
Yeah.
Rob Kinelski, yes.
Yeah. So there was like a setting. Where is it? I'll find it. He's like, I use the AMS RMX16 expanded digital reverb, and he said, especially the classic non-linear 2 preset. So I've been running that a lot recently, and I love it on like percussion and like snares. It's sick. So I've been doing that heaps. And
amazing.
What else do I use? The RC20, the one that does all the stuff. It's got sometimes I turn all the things off and just use the reverb in that too. So it's kind of just like, bits and pieces inside of stuff. So they're the plugins of reverb that I like.
Love it.
Yeah. And then it's just like automating the parameters inside to like grow with the song or change or so.
Interesting. So you're changing like the length of a reverb over the course of a song?
Yeah, in the last like 6 months I've started to do more automation stuff. I'm like really getting into it.
So interesting. I've never thought to expand the length of a reverb. I would just like send to a different reverb. That's brilliant. I gotta try that out.
Maybe it's like a psycho thing to do, but I like.
I don't know. It's neat.
I do both of those things. So sometimes it might only be like sending into one for a second, and then it starts sending into another one, and then maybe that one will send into a delay, and like there's all just new things I've been trying out. So maybe they sound terrible. Wow. I don't know.
I'm sure they're working for you. I mean, you sent me a bunch of songs. Your discography is really big, and also just tons of different genres. What would you say is your little sonic signature in between all of those things, or what's threading between all of those?
Oh, I don't know about how to answer that, but the thing that I kind of say is like I feel like I'm really good at mixing electronic music and like vocal production, but like recording wise, I can record bands real sick. So I don't know if that answers the question, but the thing that ties it all together, if the song is cool or the artist is cool, that's what like makes me want to work on it. I have to like love the thing that I'm spending the time on it. I can't like not give myself 100% to projects. So I guess the dedication is what ties it all together, or like
I love that.
Dedication to
answer.
like get the best result, but also making sure that the client is happy with the result, because then I kind of haven't done my job at the end of the day.
Yeah, totally. I love mix revisions, and I'm one of the weird people because it's their song. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like they're gonna have to live with it for much longer than me. So obviously, somewhat within reason, but
Yeah.
I'm usually super happy to get mixed revisions. You know what I mean?
Yeah, because